Hi, everyone. Welcome to the NYCPM January program webinar. As you can see, we've been joined by some lovely guests today. First of which is our Dean of Preclinical Sciences, Dr. Chusid. Say hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Rodney Chusid, and you get to see an awful lot of me in the first 2 years. We're going to introduce some other presenters shortly in the next couple of minutes, and then I will give you some information about the first 2 years.
Okay, Agatha, if we could move to the next slide. So these are our wonderful student panelists. I'm going to introduce them by name, and then they're going to talk a little bit about themselves. So first up, we have Travell Moxie. He is a fourth year. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Trey. I'm a fourth year student. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I got my undergrad at Manhattan College in biology. Excited to be here. I answer any of your guys' questions.
Awesome. Next we have Katiana. Please correct me if I butcher your name. Dionki?
Bianchi, yeah. Hi, I'm Katiana. I'm a third year student right now at NYCPM. I did my undergrad at North Carolina State University in human biology, and I'm excited to share with you guys my experience as a Janney student.
We're glad to have you here. And last but certainly not least, Kathari Viraj.
Hi, everyone. My name is Viraj. I'm born and raised in Jersey. I did my undergrad at St. Bonaventure University. It's in upstate New York, in psychology, and I also have my master's in biomedical sciences. So I'm looking forward to today and helping out anyone with any questions you guys may have.
Awesome. So glad you all could join us. So in the next slide, I'm going to be giving you just a brief overview of the January program, how it works. Could we move to the next slide? So we are the only podiatric medical school in the US to have a January start. Essentially what that means is we take your first year of classes and we spread the classes out between 3 semesters instead of 2. So you have a decelerated start. It allows you to get, it gives you more time to get adjusted to what life at med school is like and adjust to your new surroundings if you're coming from out of state. Just because you start in January, it doesn't put you behind anybody else. You join the rest of your class in fall. The only difference is that you're going to have a slightly lighter course load than your peers because those would have been the classes you took in January. So in the next slide, Dr. Chusid is going to be going over the specifics of the January program and our general curriculum. So Agatha, if we could move. Okay.
Okay, so here we go. All right, so when you arrive in January, you will be taking the first 3 courses in preclinical sciences. Let me preface all my remarks by saying every single course is designed to make you physician scientists. Several years ago, the podiatry profession moved to most likely mimic the allopathic medical school curriculum to allow podiatric physicians to assume their place as part of a medical team. The only difference, as we said previously, is that this is slightly decelerated. So you will be taking, when you arrive, preclinical sciences. You'll probably, let me see if it's on the next slide. Yeah, the next slide is really, if we would move to the next slide, this is really the general information, and then we can go back. You'll be taking bacteriology, which we've recently changed the name to medical microbiology. You'll be taking general anatomy and the lab. That's a 7-credit course. I think the biggest bonus of this semester this way is that you will really be able to delve into anatomy. and then neurosciences, which is a 3-credit course. So medical microbiology, general anatomy, and neurosciences, in which in the neurosciences course, there are a lot of clinical correlates, and there is a lot of neuroanatomy. And by that, I mean looking at various tracts and neural connections and studying lesions. What would happen if a patient had a stroke? What would happen if there was a clot in this artery? What would, et cetera, et cetera. So those are what you would be taking in January. Let me emphasize that the students who started in September, which would be the class of 2027, you would be entering as the class of 2028. The class of 2027 will also be taking all these 3 courses, but a bunch of other stuff, okay? So it's a bonus, all right? And then after your semester 1, which is going to end around the end of May, you will be coming back in August, and you will be joining the incoming September 2028. So that will be your whole class, the class of 2028. And with them, you'll be taking biochemistry, cell biology, and histology, which I teach, genetics, and physiology with a small lab. Okay, so that, and everybody, again, the 2028s, August 2028s will be taking all those things. Now we come into term 3, which starts in January, and you'll be taking medical ethics, immunology, molecular biology, and physiology. They will be taking all of that plus, okay, bacteriology, general anatomy, and neurosciences. So that's the way it's spread out. In my estimation, it's more manageable. I think that, the high yield courses for the national boards, APMLE Part 1, are in that September to they're all important, but you in terms of recent memory, I think that you're in a very, very good spot to move into the next semester, which is your term 4, their term 3, which is where you start to take the podiatric courses, lower extremity anatomy, pathophysiology, all those things that are pertinent, germane, infectious diseases, all those things that are going to start to prepare you for going into clinic, is what you're going to do in your terms 3 and terms 4, and your term 5, their terms 3 and 4. Okay, so in their second year, everybody's taking the entire curriculum, and you're all in it together. And you will be taking your national boards Part 1, APMLE Part 1, in July of 2029. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing, and it makes it, I think, extremely doable. I would recommend this to pretty much anybody. So I'm going to throw this open to one or all of our student leaders, and the question is, if you could explain how you think this decelerated curriculum benefited you in your journey towards being a doctor.
So I can answer that because I think I most recently went through it.
Okay.
So I completed my master's in 2020, but I matriculated to podiatry school here at NYCPM in 2022. So I'd been out of school for a little while. I wasn't completely sure about the rigors and how I would be able to take care of it, and just the course load in general. So the benefit of the January program was that I was able to take less credits my first semester and kind of hone in on not only my personal routine, but also my academic routine. So like how I would study for each class. And it also gave me a lot of time to kind of really focus on the hulk of the subject, which was general anatomy. I think that's definitely a heavier course here at NYCPM, and also a very big foundational course that will take you on further as you go on through your years. Like currently we just took lower extremity anatomy. So it kind of prepares you better for that, excuse me. So I think I just had a lot more time to kind of figure out my study routine, how to study for these different classes, how each professor kind of teaches their material, how to not only memorize it, but understand it and let it actually retain in my mind, which I think is the hardest part about medical school. Is you're going to be thrown so much material your way in just one day of classes. So to be able to retain all of that with spaced out learning, making my flashcards, doing repetitive, teaching myself, speaking out loud, I was able to kind of figure out my own personal routine for that. So I think that kind of better prepared me for the future semesters that I took here.
Okay, terrific. All right, so next slide. Trey, do you want to add to that?
I think that was a really good response, Faraj. But if you want to look at it even more socially, I think another big aspect that's a positive is being able to connect with other students in the school, as well as, you know, all of the staff and professors earlier than you would if you had started with your fall cohort. It's a little different than like an undergrad or like a master's program, in that everyone that you are interact with as a student is eventually going to become one of your colleagues, or, you know, maybe someone that, you know, you work with or get refers from one day. So being able to kind of foster those relationships and build those relationships earlier, especially with the class that comes before you, and then when your class comes in, just being able to build relationships with them gives you a stronger network than if you had just started in, you know, August. It also gives you a head start on being able to jump in on different clubs or different social activities and just get your, you know, your feet wet in the NYCPM community. No pun intended.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Tusid, I'd also like to add one more thing that was a huge benefit for me academically in the January program, kind of piggybacking off what Trey said. I was able to get involved in leadership positions my very first semester. And because I wasn't nearly as stressed as some of my fall start classmates the first year, I was able to hold and succeed in leadership positions a lot easier and like in a less stressful environment than I feel like some of my classmates were. So it gives you an extra semester to be building things to put on your resume when you're applying to residency.
Yeah, yeah. And there is one other added advantage. One of the things that I love about NYCPM, and I think the students will probably corroborate this, is that we in New York City, I'm going to brag a little, sit in a medical mecca. And less than a mile down the road is the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. And I hold a faculty rank there. And I have a lot of friends from when I was full-time there. And the people who are unfortunate enough, or fortunate enough, seriously, to have offices in proximity to mine, I have tapped to come in as instructors for our students. And I think that raises the bar a little bit, but I think it reminds our students constantly that they're part of a medical team, that they're equals with the rest of the medical team. Okay, and I think that's very, very important in the very dark days when you're studying for that anatomy practical, and you say, oh, you know, it's to remember, you know, keep your eye on the prize. I think that's really very important. But in addition, and I think the January program is very well suited to this, we offer a dually sponsored degree where our students can get an MPH at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. And Mount Sinai is less than a mile away from NYCPM. In the fall and spring, you can actually walk there. And the classes for the MPH start after 4 in the afternoon. And the reason for that is that's when clinics end, that's when classes most classes for medical students end. That's when the residents can get off the floor and take their courses. And you take it at the same time as you're doing your coursework at NYCPM. And most of our students in the dually sponsored program, not a lot of them do it, but for those who do it, most of them finish by the end of their second year or very shortly into their third year. So it's really been it's really been a bone to a bonus to the students who have done it, and they pursued this degree because they really feel it gives them a place at the table in decision making in the hospitals where they're going to be doing or their residencies, and later on serving as attendings. So they really enjoy that recognition, and it's well deserved. Okay. So I think that's probably most of what I have to say. If I think of anything else, I'll jump in. But with that, I will turn it back to, I guess, Alan, are you up next or one of our students?
Nope, that is me.
Okay.
So just to reiterate the advantages in a quick summary, you don't have to wait till the fall to start your studies. You can start right away, get a step ahead. You get extra time to acclimate to New York City, especially if you haven't been here before. It takes a little bit getting used to, so that extra lower intensity semester really goes a long way to help you. Obviously, that causes a more friendly transition into med school. And as stated, we have tons of clubs and tons of student organizations that will let you get involved in research. One other super big advantage that was not mentioned here is that tuition is prorated. So you don't end up having to pay extra for that extra semester. You pay the same amount as a fall student. Again, I'm just going to pose a question to our student panelists. So what non-academic, so what be that leadership or social, what non-academic advantages did you personally gain from the January program?
I can just speak a little bit on the social part.
Sure.
So when you come into this big, exciting new city where you can do anything and everything and still find something different to do the next day, you definitely feel like the pressures, like you don't want to be stuck in your room all the time. You want to go out, you want to try new foods, you want to see new things. And I feel like doing the January program, especially the first semester, it gave me ample amounts of time to do that. So I was able to go out and try different like dance classes. I took a cooking class, for instance, and I don't cook at all. I want to learn. And I would love to learn how to cook. It's definitely a needed skill out here. I was able to try so many different cuisines with my friends and make new friends along the way. Also like New York City is a very big party scene. We got to go see a bunch of different bars, watch all the football games or basketball games, and make different kind of connections that way. So I think being a part of a decelerated program gives you time to kind of get that social aspect down and also out of your system, especially before you start taking the bigger courses like biochemistry and histology, and your credits start ramping up a little bit. So I think that was definitely a non-academic advantage that I had.
So, Agatha, if we could move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so as I believe it was Viraj stated when she was answering one of the questions earlier, you can get involved with clubs and leadership activities day one. If you could think of it, we probably have a club for it. So just to students, Hispanic club. What?
You had frozen for a second.
Oh, sorry. We also have a lot of student chapters for national organizations like ACFAS, the American College of Foot and Ankle Surgeons, and the American Association for Women in Podiatric Medicine. We do a lot of abroad programs and mission trips to help out underserved communities abroad. We have our yearly publications like the Podiatric Medical Review, student government and student council that's heavily involved in the lives of our student body. And we also do a lot of volunteer. And so do any of the students want to say what extracurricular activities you participate in?
I'm happy to speak on this.
Awesome.
So yeah, so we have it's like a miniature TA. We call them ECs to help out with classes. They help fight for correct exam questions. If you think there's a mistake on the exam, you tell your EC and they'll relay that to the professor. So I did that for multiple classes starting off my first semester at NYCPM. I also worked in our class government as vice president. I worked in a bunch of clubs in various positions, ended up becoming president of a couple of them throughout my time at NYCPM. I was able to get involved in research decently early on and continue that out through all of school. And honestly, like you have such a leg up when you're getting in early because you're voting for people, right? So you're getting there a semester early, you're getting to make friends a little bit sooner, especially in the class above you. So you're able to network, which is a huge part of, getting leadership positions too at NYCPM. So I think it's a very, very big advantage to be there a semester early.
Trey, you want to speak on it?
I can, yeah, I can definitely piggyback off of that.
Awesome.
Pretty much, I think Kat, she hit the nail on the head. I also was pretty involved throughout my time at NYCPM. I started out as an EC when I was in the January program. So for one or two of the classes that we had, I just made sure I jumped into that role so that people could kind of see what I had to offer as a class leader early on. And then I also joined, I think the sports medicine club was the first club that I joined. And from there, I kind of just was able to take more activities onto my plate as I was comfortable with the course load. I ended up, like Kat, becoming president of a bunch of different clubs. I was actually my class president. I'm still my class president now as a fourth year. But in the interim of becoming class president my first year and my class president senior year, I was the school-wide president as well, which allows you to kind of have more of a grip on the podiatric medical field, like as a whole, and at the national scale, which is pretty cool. But jumping in clubs, they allow you to kind of be exposed to what you're going to do in your profession at an earlier age, or at an earlier time in your career. It allows you to get exposed, to different types of technologies. Again, kind of work on your networking, meet people from all over the country. So it's just one of those things that I think is really beneficial for everyone. And if you have the time for it, if your plate allows you to kind of handle the different clubs and different responsibilities that come with being in a club, you should definitely try it.
Thanks, Trey. Okay. What about you, Viraj?
Yeah, I feel like both of our students here, they kind of explained a lot of how you can get involved, not just academically related, but I will say one thing, APMSA, it's a great way to get involved. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and there's also like national conferences that you can go. So the American Podiatric Medical Students Association. So I'm not like I'm not like a delegate or anything, but I still wanted to get involved on my level, I guess you can say. I didn't have a lot of time to offer, but I was able to find different committees that they offer all of the like worldwide students of podiatry in this country to join. So I am a part of the website and resources committee. So we were able to kind of revamp the website and revamp the catalog that's kind of displayed to all the podiatric students and all the professionals in the country that are looking for different avenues or connections or any type of way to get involved. So I thought that that was definitely something I have found a lot of value in. So that's just something to keep another eye on if you don't want to do something just related to NYCPM specifically, but something where you can meet school students from different podiatry schools all around the country.
And then really quickly, because I gave like a kind of bare bones answer to one of the typed questions. Someone asked if volunteering a requirement. It's not a requirement until you're a clinical student. But just like how you kind of have to beef up your resume in order to get into a medical program, you kind of have to show that you're more than just a student, you're more than a GPA. The residency programs that you're going to be applying to your fourth year, they really see the same thing. So if you go through all 4 years of medical school, doing the bare minimum outside of the classroom, it is going to hurt your chances of getting like one of those high-powered or stronger residencies. Whereas if you were able to, jump in on a few clubs, jump in on a few activities, get a couple credentials under your belt, it makes you seem like a more well-rounded student, and you'll have more to talk about. You're more interested candidate, and the residency programs will definitely be more interested in you.
Thanks, Trey. Amazing answer as always, all of you.
And everybody left out that our students just came back from volunteering at the New York City Marathon.
Yes.
Last Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Being in New York City,
yeah.
Being in New York City, you're exposed to a lot of really awesome opportunities. Like the New York Marathon is one thing that our students just did. I know last year did the triathlon. There's a Special Olympics. There's always like really big events that happen in New York City, being one of the biggest cities in the world. That you'll be able to jump in on like in a medical like kind of perspective. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. So now I'm going to hand it over to Agatha, our Director of Enrollment, who's going to go over housing and a couple other topics.
Hello, everyone. My name is Agatha Cassidy, and I'm the Director of Enrollment. Just going to go a little bit about housing. A lot of people are very worried about housing, especially moving to New York City. Everybody's scared. They're like, oh my God, the city is very busy. The city is this, that. I understand. But it's like the city never sleeps. You could always find everything and anything. And we have the best of the best professors, pathologies, everything over here is amazing. So you get to do a lot and see a lot. And we will talk to Trey Moxley a little bit about his residency program. I see the questions in the chat about it, but I don't want to jump everything and just jump into the questions. So we're going to address it one by one, just want to let you know, but we'll just go over housing. So housing over here is called the Bridges. It's not too far from the school. It is very convenient. You could pick different layouts of the housing. Viraj herself is the TA of the housing. She's one of them. We have other TAs also. So definitely I will let Viraj talk a little bit about it. And the reason I would do that is because she knows more than everybody else. And then later we'll jump into the questions. So Viraj, would you like to explain a little bit about housing? Why do you like it and how convenient it is?
Yes, absolutely. So I am one of 2 residential advisors at the Bridges. I lived there my first semester and I've been staying there since. A couple of the benefits I will say obviously is the convenience of location. It is a straight shot 3 blocks from school. So you just kind of walk. I can get to school sub 4 minutes and I'm not a fast walker. So I think that's a very big benefit when you have those, 8 a.m. exams or 8 a.m. class where attendance is mandatory. You can leave comfortably at 7:55 and still be okay. So I think that's one big benefit. Another one is it's a lot of students that are going to be taking the same classes as you, if not older students than you. So having that kind of network kind of gives you a kind of leg up. So if you want to study late for an exam, you don't want to have to travel far, you can just go right down to the basement or into one of your friends' apartments and study as long as you want and not worry about that travel back home late at night in the city or anything like that. So that's a big benefit. Plus, if you're forgetting like, oh, I have class at 9 a.m. and your friend hasn't like responded or something, you just knock on the door, be like, hey, you coming to class? So that's always like a nice reminder to have. And especially you can hear things. So you'll hear everyone's door open at the same time. So you're like, okay, something's going on. I probably have to get to school for that. So that's another benefit. As you can see on the slide here, we do have laundry in-house in the basement. We have rooftop access, which I think is beautiful, especially in the summertime. Grab a couple of friends, go play some music, have a nice chill night. Especially if you don't want to go out and about in the city, you just kind of want to lay back, play some cards up there. I know some of my friends, we've had some dancing parties up there, especially during last year's snowfall, which was very minimal, but still there. We had a snowball fight outside in between studying for exams. So we like to de-stress too, but not go too far away from where we have to, lock in and study. So we just went upstairs and had a good time for 30 minutes. We also have a beautiful lounge area downstairs with a ping pong table, pool table, TVs, speakers. So I know last weekend, actually, a couple of the clubs got together and had a Halloween bash party. So it was really nice that everyone could just come downstairs from their respective apartments, have a nice gathering, a nice social, relax, de-stress with a bunch of people and celebrate Halloween because, it's the big city. We like to celebrate when we can. And we also have a gym with all your basic necessities, dumbbells, weights, treadmills, and everything. So I know for me, working out is very crucial, at least 3 to 5 times a week. If I can get it in to my schedule, it just helps, alleviate something, kind of gets your movement going. Because I know we are going to spend a lot of time sitting in our seats and studying. So that's important to get up and moving. We also have a really great study area that not only includes cubicles, but also big tables and a separate study room in the back area. So if you wanted to do like a quiet group study or something, you're more than welcome to do so. And it's based off like first come, first serve. So if you see kids down there, you kind of just either join them or you take your own space, however you please. Moving on to the types of rooms. So I know I don't know if Agatha had already mentioned it or not, but we do have different suites that are ranged at different prices. But each apartment either has 4 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms, and each student does get their own bedroom based off of what you select, either a single shared or a suite with a balcony without, whatever you choose. Either apartment you choose, either the 4-bedroom or 7-bedroom, still only includes 2 bathrooms, 1 kitchen area, and 1 common area. So that you will share with your respective roommates. And it is not co-ed, so each apartment will be just the same sex, but on the same floor, you will have different genders apartments. So I know I have 2 girls apartments, and then I have 2 or 3 other apartments with just males in them. So that's pretty good for, I think, a perspective. You get everyone kind of on the same floor, interacting and everything. Everyone's very friendly. That's also a big thing. Everyone's very friendly. It is a majority school student associated dorm, if not all of them. So we're all very respectful of everyone's space and time and quiet hours, especially. So I know around like 9 p.m., everyone starts quieting down because we understand people want to go to sleep and study. So that's definitely a benefit. And of course, utilities are all included into your rent, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's basically anything about the bridges. And if you have any other questions, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Viraj. I think you covered everything about student housing. Let me turn it over to Tatiana and Trey, just asking them, where did you live during your first year when you first started NYCPM? Let's go to Tatiana first.
Hi, so I actually did not live at the bridges. I don't know if you guys have talked or if anyone knows about the the summer internship program at NYCPM. I did that when I was an undergrad, so I have lived in the bridges. It was for a couple of nights, but I've been there before. Very convenient, awesome. I happen to have 2 cats that I was bringing from college, so wasn't pet friendly, wasn't an option for me. So I actually moved to the Upper East Side, where a very large number of my classmates in the class of 2025 live. It was honestly the most convenient thing for me at the time. Public transportation in New York City is phenomenal. It's one of the things the city is known for. So if you do decide that living near the school isn't for you, or you'd like to try out other neighborhoods in the city, there's plenty of people who live Upper East Side, Upper West Side. A lot of people live downtown too. So you really, if you're trying to get a specific experience in Manhattan and live somewhere else, it's 100% feasible and you can do it. I've stayed on the Upper East Side all 3 years at NYCPM. Very residential area, very safe. I've lived alone all 3 years, and I've been able to like walk outside at night and not feel bad and like not feel scared or threatened or anything like that. So yeah, Bridges is very convenient too, but if you do want to live somewhere else, it's feasible. It's definitely an option. It's safe, and it's still extremely convenient to get to school. Plus, once you're in your 3rd year, you're rotating in a bunch of different hospitals anyways. You're still going back to the school a couple of days a week. But it's nice because depending on where you live, you can be at a central point between all those locations that you're having to travel to. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Trey, would you like to say something about that?
My experience was pretty similar to Kat's. I went to undergrad in New York City, so I was kind of already familiar with the city and had been living in the city. So through the January program, I was actually living in Bushwick, and I was commuting, I think, like 40-45 minutes every day. But when the real like first semester started, I had moved really close to NYCPM, but it wasn't the Bridges. But to piggyback off of what Viraj said, I was always over at the Bridges with like the friends that I had made and things like that. And I know a lot of people, they, if they're not from the city, or even if they're from the city and just want to have like, get their groups of friends, they'll go to the Bridges, kind of find their friends and everything, and then like move out to the city if that's what they choose to do. So yeah, I was close to the school, but I wasn't at the Bridges. And then yeah, I just moved to the Upper East Side, which is where I live now when I'm in the city.
Thank you so much, Trey. I just want to let everybody know, I mean, Bridges is one of the options. You could live at other places too. There's a lot of places in New York City. We have the 5 boroughs, you have Manhattan, you have several different things. But if you do want to live at the Bridges, yes, you can. The convenient part about it is you have your friends, and when everybody's studying, you don't feel left out. You want to study too, right? So you're on the same page, and they mostly make sure that you're mostly caught up and you know that a test is coming, so you won't miss anything. That's how I see as a plus point living with other students at the same time, because medical school is difficult and you need to study, and getting into a studying habit, the easiest way is doing group studying. That's just me, but everybody has their own way of studying. So let's move on to the next slide. So the next one is, what advice would you give someone who is considering the January program? Who wants to take this question first?
I'm happy to speak on this. The January program is actually something I'm extremely passionate about. I've talked about it on podiatry podcasts in the past. If you're considering doing the January program, 100% you should do it. I had a slightly different time period before coming here. I graduated my undergrad in December of 2020, and 2 weeks later started podiatry school here in New York. So I had a very quick turnaround, and I haven't had any time off. And the January program made that manageable. I never felt like I got to a point of extreme burnout. I truly cannot see a negative about the program. If you have the time and you're able to spend the extra semester here, I think it's the smartest decision you could make for your experience, like in an academic program that is as rigorous as this is. And a lot of the time, the students I met in the fall were like, if we knew this was an option, we would have done this. I've never met anybody or talked to anybody or even heard of anybody who did the January program and thought it was a bad idea or regretted doing it or wished they had just started in the fall. So I truly think that if you are coming to NYCPM, the January program is the right way to do it.
Just going to underline what Kat just said, because that is 100% true. Every single student, once they find out what like the January program actually is, they either go, oh man, like I wish I would have done that, or like, you know what I mean? Everyone is very envious of those students. It's kind of like a cheat code in med school, to be honest. I mean, you are able to take some of the hardest classes at a time where, your plate isn't that heavy. So one, you get adjusted to the med school rigors really early, and at your own pace. You're able to get good grades in those classes because, for all intents and purposes, they're the only classes you're taking, so you should do well. And then again, you're able to get used to the school, get used to the environment kind of before the full plate starts. So yeah, pretty much anyone that is a part of the January program loves it. And then once the fall students find out what the January program is, they wish that they did it. So it's pretty much a no-brainer, especially if you want to do well. You consider yourself a student that prides yourself on your work, and you want to make sure that you're getting involved and have all those types of notches under your belt.
Thanks, Trey. I think Viraj already shared a little bit about it prior to this, so I won't be asking her the same question, but I know somebody asks, how many students matriculate into the January term? It all depends on how many students start. From year to year, it's a different class size. It is a smaller class size, I would say a minimum of 20 students. Sometimes we do have more, but it's a small group, easier to study. And guess what? You get more of a one-on-one time with the doctor that's teaching you. So it's basically a very, very nice start date. I would definitely recommend that. Students love the start date. And we have 3 amazing students that are speaking about it. So I guess they're the testimony of those start dates, right? Let's go to the next one. The next question is, what was your typical day like in the first term, second, and third? Let's start with Viraj with the first term. The second, I will give it to Tatiana, and the fourth, I will give it to Trey, because I think that's the closest one to him, because he's already in the 4th year. So let's start with you, Viraj, with the first term.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your first term as a January student, you're going to take bacteriology, neuroscience, and general anatomy. So my days honestly looked like classes for about 3 to 4 days a week. We definitely always had one day off, whether it was a Thursday or a Wednesday, depending on how your lab schedule lined up. You would be in class maximum for 4 hours a day. Otherwise, I think for Monday through Thursday, I was in school studying or in class from about 9 till 2 p.m. Most of the days ended at 2 p.m. for me unless I had lab that day, and then lab would go from 2 to about 5 p.m. But otherwise, I wasn't in school until later than 3 p.m. most days. Then I would head home, get something to eat, hang out with friends, and then study. So your first semester is pretty light, and it also gives you an ample amount of time to study for that bulk of a course, general anatomy, and also neuroscience and bacteriology. They all have their gems that you have to take time to study. So I think that was how my first term looked.
Okay, Tatiana, you want to take the second?
Yeah, I actually just went and pulled up my Google Calendar, took a look at it, what it looked like back then. So for me, the typical days, it's looking like I was there every day around 9 a.m. and there was no day it looked like I was leaving any later than 2 or 3, which is great. Overall, you're definitely picking up the pace in your second semester. You're not in just 3 classes anymore. There's a little more responsibility, but for the most part, you're hanging out compared to the fall students. When they have 2 exams a week or an exam every single week, you've got almost half of that. So for me, it was a great opportunity socially, because the January students had an extra semester to already start getting close, but now you have the opportunity and the time to get closer with the fall students, and be less stressed. So it was looking like I was every day 9 to maybe 3, and there's plenty of days I'm looking here where we had nothing. So at least like 1 day a week, I'd say, where we didn't have any classes.
Wow, that sounds pretty good for a medical student. Trey, 3rd semester?
The 3rd semester, so the 3rd semester as a January student, that would be the 2nd semester overall, right? So that's when I guess you're taking anatomy. Well, the rest of your cohort will be taking anatomy, right? Just like what Kat said, you're kind of chilling. Anatomy is one of those classes where some people are going to feel like they should like just be taking that class in and of itself. There's like that much detail, there's that much like work you have to put into it just to be successful. So one, being able to do that during the January program puts you ahead because you have so much more time. And then 2, when the rest of your class is taking anatomy, you're not. So that's all free time that you have to, do research. Someone's asking about research. That's time you have to do research. That's time you have to study for your other classes. That's time that you have to, just get in the clubs. That's time that you have for yourself. The 3rd semester was a little more challenging than the 2nd semester. Just because there's more classes and each semester kind of has kind of an uptick in your expectations and what they want out of you. But overall, in comparison to a fall student, you're chilling, kind of like what Kat said. You don't have anatomy, so it's a blessing.
Thank you so much, Trey. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide is a little bit about the application process. The application process at NYCPM is pretty similar to any podiatric medical school. So we do have a different system that you need to apply on. It's called APMAS, that's in short. The full form is basically the American Association of College of Podiatric Medicine Services. We also have 2 deadlines. So the deadlines are basically for the January semester is December 1st. If you apply after that, you will basically be applying for the fall semester. So I would say definitely if you want to apply for the January semester, apply before December 1st. The average MCAT score that we have is a 496. The overall GPA is 3.2 and the sciences are 3.0. We do need 3 letters of recommendation. It could also be recommendation letters from from your committee letter. It could be from a DPM, depends on what you guys have. And just to add on to that information, the scores that you see here is not something written in stone that if you don't get it, you're not going to get in. No, that's an average score. We do have students who have much higher than that, a little lower than that. We look at the holistic view of the application. We review everything. What did you do while the time you were studying? How difficult was your class load? Everything goes into a metric system, and depending on that, we kind of have that answer saying, yes, we are going to move on to an interview, or how well do you do on the interview? Everything goes to a committee. I know you guys posted a question saying, how many people get in? It all depends on your application. If you guys have questions about the application, we also do virtual advisement sessions. You could always go to our website, click the virtual advisement, send us your transcripts. Somebody from the admission team will review it, be with you on Zoom, go over it and tell you what you're lacking. Whatever you're lacking, you could fill in the blanks from there, and then you could definitely apply. You definitely have time to apply. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. One of us in the admissions department will reach out to you. Now, the basic requirements is basically biology. When they say 1 and 2, it's 1 year with lab. So we need biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, and also we need English. Those are the general subjects like any other medical school. Just keep in mind, because you're applying to pediatric medical school, it's not easy. I'll tell you that. You're studying basically the first year, like Dr. Chusett said, you're going to do your didactic years the same as your MD and DO. The second year would be your lower extremities. The third year, you go into rotations. And then the fourth year, you do your externships. So basically, you are doing everything, but you are going to specialize and become a doctor in the lower extremities. Do you guys have any questions for us? Please post them on the Q&R. We will be taking questions. We are at 5:52. We do have some time, so we will answer as many questions as we could. Okay, so somebody said, how many students apply for the program? How many are accepted? Like I said before, it all depends on your application, and it depends on what your scores are and everything else. I cannot really tell you because you scored this, you will get in. No, we look at the holistic view of the whole entire application. What is the percentage of people getting accepted in the January program? Same thing. It all depends on your application. On average, we have a class of at least 20, but it also gets larger, depends from year to year. Okay, Trey, I think this question is for you. Would you be able to talk a little bit about your residency program work and different specialties to get into? Specialties to get into.
So residency, everyone must complete a residency at the end of their 4 years at medical school. They're surgical residencies. They're 3 or 4 years, although most programs are 3 years in this day and age. And then you have the option to go on to fellowship afterwards, which if you want to join a group practice or an ortho group in this day and age, a bunch of them want you to have a fellowship. In terms of the process, I guess, so during your 4th year, it was already kind of spoken about, you do what we call externships. So you apply to hospitals all around the country and you spend 5 months at these different hospitals. So you spend 1 month at each hospital. So 5 different hospitals and 1 month stay at each hospital. And it's kind of a month-long interview for that residency program. You're working very intimately with all the residents and the attendings. You're in all their surgeries with them. You're rounding patients with them. You're seeing the consults with them. If you get called into ED cases, you're there with them. You're doing the surgeries with them. For all intents and purposes, you're a surgeon on that team for that month. And then at the end of it, you come back at the end of the externship experience, you come back, you do your applications. Everyone meets up in Texas in January for the residency interviews. Every program and every student across the country all meet up in Texas at the same time for their residency interviews. And then you have match day in March where you find out where you're going. In terms of specialties, that's one of the, I think that's one of the selling points in getting into podiatry. There's no one single specialty that you have to be married to. We don't treat, we don't treat a one specific type of, pathology. We treat a region of the body. We treat the ankle and below. So just being a podiatrist, you are going to be an orthopedic surgeon. You are going to be a dermatologist. You are going to be a medicine doctor. You are going to be a neurologist. You kind of have a hand in each one of these different services because you're treating an entire region. So you have to be kind of well versed in all types of medicine. So during the residency programs, you have rotations in pretty much all the other services. You do rotations in orthopedics, you do rotations in plastic surgery, you do rotations in anesthesiology, you do rotations in general medicine, GI, everything. Kind of like what Agatha said earlier, it's not like a cop out. You're a podiatric physician, but the underline is you're still a physician. So the expectations are the same. The preclinical coursework is that of an MD student. It's not, it's not like a shortcut route. It's not an easier route. It's the same work that you have to do to become a doctor. So when you get into the clinics, you are treated like a full-blown doctor. You're expected to have the knowledge and clinical skills of a full-blown doctor. So that is what residency is, is there to do. It's there to take you from, a new student just graduated from podiatric medical school to a full-fledged surgeon in 3 years. So it's intense, but it's very rewarding and you're exposed to a lot. So it's really, really dope. You can do pretty much anything you want after that. Like I said earlier, you can do pediatrics, you can do sports medicine, you can do plastic surgery, you can do dermatology, you can really do anything. Orthotics, it's an open field. So it's really cool.
Thank you so much, Trey. I would basically tell every student if you're not sure, please shadow a DPM, see what you like, and then get into it. Also, you will be going to different rotations. At that point, you will be seeing what you like and what you don't. But in order to give this field a try, definitely shadow a DPM. If you need help finding a DPM, just email us. I will put the email in the chat. It's basically enrollment@nycpm.edu. Email us, tell us to find you a DPM in your area. We'll ask you for your name, your zip code, and basically match you with somebody anywhere in the country. And also, we're the first pediatric medical school in the country established in 1911. That just makes us really old, more than a decade old. But also, it will tell you that 25% of DPMs all around the country belong to NYCPM, and they definitely support their own. As students were speaking, you heard by them, they do create a lot of relationships while they're here, and they kind of stick and they take care of their own as they go along, no matter where and no matter when. The next question that we do have is,
I saw a couple that had to do with like residency and matching. So I feel like I should just answer them all in one batch. So matching. So after you're done your externships and you're applying to residency programs, you apply to 10 residency programs. When you go to the interviews in Texas in January, you interview with those 10 programs. And then after you interview with the 10 programs, you rank the programs based on the ones that you want to go to from greatest to least. And at the same time, the programs rank everyone that interviewed with them, from the students they want the most to the students they want the least. And then there's like a big magical algorithm that works that tries to match you with the program that you want the most. If you can't get there, it'll try to match you with your second program. If you can't get there, try to match you with your third program. You can like look on YouTube, like match algorithms. There's a whole science how med school matching works, but it is the same as MD, DO, allopathic matching. It's the same exact process. Everything is the exact same. The only thing that's different is that you are a doctor that treats the lower extremity, but everything else is the exact same. So there's no other difference than two other medical schools. We have match days, the same exact day. We find out where we're going, the same time they find out where they're going. I think that the only big difference is that you already know what specialty you're in. You're a podiatrist, whereas they're going to figure out whether they're going into orthopedic surgery or, OBGYN or plastic surgery or psych or whatever. You already know what you're doing. The big match with us is where you're going to be doing it. In terms of where the hospitals are, they're literally all over the country. So for my externships, I did University of Pennsylvania back in Philly. That's where I'm from. I did Emory down in Georgia. Next month, I'm going out to San Francisco, California, and St. Mary's. I did a program down in New Jersey. All you can choose at all 50 states. There's people that are, just staying in New York City. There's people that are going all around the country. There's people that are just doing West Coast. There's people that are just doing South. You can choose where you want to practice. You're not married to any one specific location. So that is, it's fun. It's exciting. You're able to get out there and see, kind of how podiatry is practiced all over the country, kind of figure out where you want to be, and then, just take it from there. In terms of specialties, how many there are, again, there's no like one type of specialty. You're not a specific type of doctor. You treat a region. You're treating the entire foot and ankle. So you are the dermatologist, you are the vascular doctor, you are the orthopedic surgeon, you are the diabetic wound care specialist, you are the limb salvage expert, you are the sports medicine doctor. You are all of these types of doctors and specialties all in one, because you treat a region. So you have to be well versed in all of those types of specialties. I guess if anyone else has any questions about the clinical side, you can shoot them. But that's a pretty good synopsis.
Thanks so much, Trey. I think you covered most of everything that we had over there. Just to add on to let everybody know, yes, you are trained in every single specialty, but once you become a doctor, it depends on what you guys want to work on. If, say, you want to work with peds, you just work with peds. If you want to work into wound care, go ahead and do it. It just depends on what you like, and that's what you're going to do. Dr. Chusa, do you want to add anything before we end this presentation?
No, I just think, as usual, our students were outstanding. I just think that the January program, we're the only school that has it. It's been very successful. Our January students just, they acclimate very quickly. They make friends very quickly. And they're very successful. I just like to add something about the residency program. Right now, there are more residency positions than there are graduates. And one of the things, for those of you who are really interested in surgery, podiatric residents sit in orthopedic surgery. So the residency you're going to get is a surgical residency. That is not true for DO or allopathic graduates. The residencies in dermatology, surgery, they're hard to come by. So you're guaranteed a surgical residency. That is some bonus. It's from where I sit. It's
for sure. Two months ago, I was in a surgery with the Atlanta Falcons team orthopedic surgeon and their team podiatrist, and I'm a fourth year medical student. Like, I don't, you don't get those types of opportunities unless you play the game well. And
yeah.
And also we have 100% placement rate for a long time into residency program. Just wanted to add that in there.
And for most of them, their first or second choice, which is equally important.
Yep. And just to add one more thing to it, we had a question about the MPH program. So when you get accepted to the January program, you could just let us know that you want to do your MPH, and we will start the process of that. You will start the MPH program in your second year, not in your first year. So basically, you
first year.
They can start in the first year too?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. They can start it on day one. And one of the things about the MPH, Sinai is on trimesters. So you rack up credits really, really fast. So if you arrive in January, you might take maybe because you're on a lighter load, I don't know, you would have to get advice from some of the MPH students. You might take biostats, an introduction to public health. Okay. And then as you move on, you just really have to take one or two courses. And by the time you reach the second part of your sophomore year, you're ready to do your practicum and write your thesis. So your coursework is usually done in those 2 years because you have that extra semester, which turns into 2 trimesters. Okay, so it puts you in a good place.
Also, I just want to chime in. If anybody has specific questions about the MPH program and would like to speak to a student in it, I'll put my contact information too. I'm happy to answer anybody's questions or chat if they want to about NYCPM. But I also have friends who I can share their number with you who are very happy to talk about their experience in the.
Thank you.
Well, what I would definitely say is thank you everybody for coming. First of all, if you guys have any questions, always feel free to send us an email at enrollment@nycpm.edu. And all the students here, as you see, are very, very nice. They're willing to help. So if you have any questions, we could always reach out to them, let them know that so-and-so student will be contacting you. With their permission, we will give you their email addresses, and then you could contact them from there with any questions you may have. So yes, if you guys have any questions, doubts, whatever, reach out to us for advisement or reach out for us to talk to a different student. You could also come visit the campus. We also do exploratory visits, but definitely if you have any questions, reach out to us. Thank you so much, everybody. The time is right now 6:06. We have to end this webinar. Thank you so much, Dr. Chusett. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Katrina. Thanks, Viraj. And thanks so much, Alan, for starting the presentation. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you. Have good luck, everyone.